So, all good things must come to an end. I have finally finished Hardware Season 1, Episode 6. And I think it's really cool that they do that. It's issue 6, but they call it Episode 6. So, it's really quirky and fun right there. Just a different spin on things. A lot of things I liked about this comic. I like that he was originally a black character, because there's always the rage is, people want diversity. And I like that he wasn't a character that was race swapped. He's originally a black character, from the get go when, Dwayne McDuffie and all those great guys and so many other talented guys, Dennis Cohen, Michael Davis, Derek T. Dingle. I mean, just an all-star cast of talent, man. And also what I find cool is that, Curtis Metcalf, aka Hardware, is basically a Milestone's Tony Stark. And Edwin Alva, his adversary, is basically Obadiah Stane. And they're clashing, man. They're clashing in this in issue 6 or episode 6. It finally comes to a head. Edwin Alva actually deploys kind of like a mutant type villain on Curtis, and the guy is able to replicate himself. So Curtis is, fighting his way to get to Edwin Alva, and it's just all nonstop action. His suit is actually failing him. Which is kind of just like how it was in, Iron Man 1, where his suit is just, it's just, the power is decreasing as he's trying to, get to this bad guy. And so Edwin Alva, he has his hands full dealing with Curtis's friends that have finally figured out Edwin Alva is a corrupt guy, and he has his hands in a lot of evil things, a lot of bad things he shouldn't have his hands in. And, it's really cool that, we see Hardware fighting this guy who can replicate himself. And eventually he gets to the point where we see him use his wit. He's telling the guy that he's fighting against, he's like, look, I know every time you replicate yourself, each replication loses a bit of mass. So now it makes it easier for me to target the real you, so it's like, you actually see him in a way fight against a mutant. And he's able to, figure out his way around that and defeat this guy and then make his way to Edwin Alva. And then, it gets to the point where he's like, Curtis is pissed, and he gets to Edwin Alva, and he, at this point, he's like, I'm ready for you. And he just stops short of killing him because, the cops show up, and eventually, all this evidence piles up against Edwin Alva that makes it, that gives it a reasonable doubt that Curtis actually was not the one who threw the canisters at the protesters in Dakota City, which started this whole bang baby situation, which made, a lot of the young protesters turn out to be, in a way, like mutants infected by this canister of, that has unknown chemicals, which, turns, the protesters into, some into creatures, others with abilities, think of Static Shock, aka, Virgil Hawkins, he has the power to, control electricity. So, at the end there, there's reasonable doubt to be like, okay, Curtis wasn't responsible for this. And then at the end of it, Edwin Alva, all this evidence is piled up against Edwin Alva because Edwin Alva is just a bad man. A lot of people that he's even done business with in the past are afraid of him because he's just so cutthroat. And those people actually end up helping Curtis to prove his innocence and, take down Edwin Alva. But as we know, it's not always that easy. And so, we actually get a little bit of relief because Curtis is, he's not sent to prison, and it's kind of like he's kind of on the run, but he's not, there's reasonable doubt, right? So the cops aren't after him. everything's murky because all these allegations are coming against Edwin Alva. So it's a sticky situation for everyone. But the only one that's really getting the big brunt of the punishment is Edwin Alva, because the FBI is investigating him at this point. So it's really cool, man. And then at the end of it, Curtis pays a visit to some people that he helped, particularly the kid, this kid that actually was hurt in the crossfires. And he talks to the kid's parents and all this, and the kid's actually recovering pretty nicely, and he's like excited to tell his friends that he got in all this danger. And his father's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this kid is like turning this bad situation into a good situation. But that's kids. They, the thrill excites them. And then at the end of it, we see Curtis, we see him talking to the kid's father. And the kid's father's like, man, I just can't believe we're living in a world with all these superheroes. It's absolutely insane. Like, some of these superheroes aren't even completely human. Like, what type of world are we going to be bringing our kids in, raising our kids up in? And so, Curtis is like, you know what? I absolutely don't know. And as he says that, Icon flies across the sky. And he's just like, wow, so I thought it was a really great issue, man. And I'm expecting to see more from Milestone Returns. There's so much stuff here, man. Yeah, it was a great run. And Hardware is really one of my favorites. Right next to Static Shock, he's up there as far as my favorite Milestone character. And yeah, man, check it out, man. Hardware Season 1. Milestone Returns, baby.